In the last episode, I finally grasped the extent of my abilities and the consequences of my actions in Aethereia. A mysterious message from my ally, Kael, had just reached me, hinting at the existence of hidden archives within ancient ruins. With Lyrien and Elara by my side, our quest to unite with visionary engineers had taken on a new sense of urgency. I stared out at the sprawling cityscape of New Elara, the air thick with anticipation. The journey ahead would be treacherous, but I felt a sense of purpose I'd never known before. Lyrien's voice cut through my thoughts. "Alex, we need to move. Our contact in Eldrador is waiting." I turned to face him, Elara already by his side. We'd assembled a small team, but I knew that would change soon. The more who joined us, the better our chances of success. Our destination was Eldrador, a mystical realm shrouded in legend. Ancient technology lay hidden there, waiting to be uncovered. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. We were running out of time. As we stepped through the portal, the air shifted around us, carrying the scent of ozone and smoke. I blinked in the bright light of Eldrador's dual suns. Elara's hand on my arm kept me grounded. "We're here, Alex. Now what?" I consulted the map etched on a piece of crystal Kael had given me. The ruins of Archon's spire lay to the east, our first target. Those archives Kael mentioned had to be there. Lyrien set a brisk pace, his long strides forcing us to hurry. The landscape blurred. Rocky outcroppings, strange trees with bark like black glass, and eerie silence. The silence was shattered by the hum of engines. A convoy emerged from the horizon, specks of dark metal crawling across the ground. My gut twisted. We weren't alone. Elara's grip on my arm tightened. "Alex, those are Corexi enforcers. We can't let them catch us." My thoughts racing, I weighed our options. We could try to outrun them, but Eldrador's terrain was unforgiving. The spire was still hours away. I made my decision. We'll take cover behind that ridge, prepare to defend ourselves. The enforcers closed in, their cannons charging. I readied my own abilities, a surge of power coursing through me. This was it, our first test in Eldrador. The fight was intense but brief. When the dust settled, Lyrien and Elara stood beside me, our breathing heavy. The enforcers lay motionless. That was just the beginning. Archon's spire loomed ahead, its entrance guarded by sentinels. I could feel it, the weight of history and secrets waiting to be unearthed. Elara's eyes met mine. "You ready for this, Alex?" I nodded. "As ready as you'll ever be." The sentinels opened fire. I raised my hands, channeling the power within. A barrier erupted around us, deflecting the shots. Lyrien took advantage of the reprieve to sprint forward, disarming the sentinels. We slipped inside, the ancient structure enveloping us. The air inside was stale, thick with the scent of age. I sensed it, the archives hidden deep within the spire. But we weren't alone. A figure emerged from the shadows, eyes locked on mine. "Kael, we have little time. The Corexi will return, and next time," he handed me a data crystal. "This contains the location of our allies, the visionary engineers. They can help you unlock Aethereia's true potential." A sudden noise echoed through the halls, footsteps growing louder. Kael's eyes darted toward the sound. "It seems our presence is no longer a secret. Go, Alex, find the engineers. I'll hold off the Corexi." I hesitated, but Lyrien and Elara urged me forward. We had to keep moving. As we fled, the sound of Kael's defiant laughter echoed through the corridors. I'd never forget that. The journey had just become more complicated. I knew that our actions would draw more enemies. The question was, would we find the engineers before the Corexi caught up with us? The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance. I picked up my pace, the crystal clutched in my hand. Our next move would change everything. Previously, Kael's defiant laughter still echoed in my mind as we fled. Archon's spire, the data crystal clutched in my hand, containing the location of our allies, the visionary engineers. The Corexi enforcers were closing in, and Kael had sacrificed himself to give us a chance to escape. With Lyrien and Elara by my side, I knew we had to keep moving to find the engineers and unlock Aethereia's true potential. As we emerged from the spire, the dual suns of Eldrador beat down on us, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. I could feel the weight of our quest bearing down on me, the fate of Aethereia hanging precariously in the balance. The air was thick with tension, and I knew we had to act quickly to stay one step ahead of our enemies. Lyrien's urgent voice cut through my thoughts. "Alex, we need to move. The Corexi will have reinforcements on their way. We can't outrun them for long." His words were laced with a sense of desperation, and I knew we had to find a safe haven, and fast. Elara nodded, her eyes scanning the horizon. "There's a settlement nearby, a place called Elgaroth. The engineers might be there. We can try to blend in, gather information." Her voice was steady, but I could sense the fear lurking beneath the surface. I nodded, my grip on the data crystal tightening. Elgaroth it was, then. We set off at a frantic pace, the landscape blurring around us as we ran. The silence was oppressive, punctuated only by the sound of our footsteps and the distant hum of engines. As we approached the settlement, I could see that Elgaroth was a small, ramshackle town, its buildings crafted from scavenged materials and makeshift repairs. Smoke drifted lazily into the air, carrying the scent of cooking oil and ozone. The town seemed to be on high alert, with guards posted at the entrance and a sense of unease hanging in the air. We entered cautiously, drawing attention from the townsfolk. Whispers spread quickly, and I sensed a mix of curiosity and suspicion. I knew we had to tread carefully to avoid drawing unwanted attention from the Corexi or other hostile factions. A young woman, her hair a vibrant shade of indigo, approached us. "You must be the ones KL sent for. Lyra, one of the engineers." Her eyes sparkled with a sense of determination, and I felt a surge of hope. I handed her the data crystal. "We've come to find your team, to work together to unlock Aethereia's potential." Lyra's expression turned grave. "The Corexi are already here, asking questions. We've managed to keep them at bay, but for how long?" Her words sent a chill down my spine, and I knew we had to act quickly. I made a decision. "We'll help defend the town, and in return, you share your knowledge with us. We need to work together if we're going to succeed." The stakes were high, but I knew we had no choice. Lyra nodded, a determined look on her face. "Agreed, but we must be careful. The Corexi won't hesitate to destroy Elgaroth if they suspect we're harboring you." Her words were laced with a sense of urgency, and I knew we had to act fast. As we prepared to defend the town, I noticed a figure watching us from the shadows. A hooded figure, their face obscured, but their gaze fixed intently on me. I felt a shiver run down my spine, and I knew we had to be careful. Lyrien's voice whispered in my ear. "Alex, I don't trust that one. Let's keep an eye on them." His words were laced with a sense of warning, and I nodded, my eyes fixed on the mysterious figure. I nodded, my senses on high alert. We couldn't afford to let our guard down, not now. The hours passed in a blur of activity as we worked alongside Lyra and her team to fortify Elgaroth's defenses. The townsfolk, though wary, seemed to accept us, and for a moment I felt a sense of hope. But as night began to fall, casting long shadows across the settlement, I knew we were far from safe. The Corexi would return, and next time they wouldn't be so easily deterred. As I stood watch, scanning the darkness for signs of movement, I felt a sense of resolve growing within me. We would face whatever challenges lay ahead, together, as a team. The bond between Lyrien, Elara, and me had grown stronger, forged in the fires of adversity. And then, just as I was starting to feel a sense of unease, a burst of energy erupted from the outskirts of town. A figure, cloaked in shadows, sprinted toward us. "Alex!" they called out, their voice hoarse from exertion. "Please, you have to help me." I recognized the desperation in their voice, the fear. I knew that look, that tone. It was a cry for help, a plea for salvation. Without hesitation, I rushed to their side, Lyrien and Elara close behind. The figure collapsed into my arms, gasping for breath. "It's Kyle," they whispered, their eyes locked on mine. He's alive." The Corexi took him, but I managed to escape. My heart skipped a beat. Kyle, alive? I couldn't process the revelation. But before I could ask questions, the sound of engines grew louder and the darkness lit up with the approach of Kyrexi enforcers. The figures' eyes widened in terror. "They've found me! Oh no!" In that moment, I knew what I had to do. I would risk everything to save KL, to uncover the truth, and to forge a new path for Aethereia. The stakes had just escalated, and I was ready to face them head-on. With a newfound sense of determination, I turned to Lyrien and Elara. "We need to get KL to safety, and then we need to come up with a plan to take down the Corexi." Lyrien nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. "We'll need to move fast. The Corexi won't hesitate to destroy Elgaroth if they suspect we're harboring KL. Elara's hand on my arm tightened. "We'll do whatever it takes to protect him, Alex. We owe him that much." Together, we set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey ahead would be treacherous, but I felt a sense of purpose I'd never known before. We would rescue Kale, unite with the visionary engineers, and forge a new path for Aethereia, no matter the cost. As we journeyed through the night, the darkness seemed to press in around us, but I knew we weren't alone. We had each other, and we had a common goal. The fate of Aethereia hung in the balance, and I was determined to do everything in my power to save it. The hours ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. But finally, we reached the outskirts of Elgaroth, and I could see the outline of a small building in the distance. "That's where they're holding Kale," Lyra said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We need to be careful. The Kyrexi have set up a perimeter around the building." I nodded, my mind racing with possibilities. We could try to sneak in, or we could create a diversion. I knew we had to act quickly before the Kyrexi realized what we were planning. Without hesitation, I made my decision. "Well, create a diversion. Lyrien, Elara, let's get into position." The plan was simple, but it was our only chance. We would create a distraction, draw the Kyrexi away from the building, and then sneak in to rescue KL. As we put our plan into action, I felt a sense of hope rising within me. We were in this together, and we would do whatever it took to succeed. The diversion worked, and we managed to slip into the building undetected. KL was being held in a small cell, his eyes locked on mine as I approached. "Alex," he whispered, his voice weak but determined, "I'm glad you came for me." I smiled, a sense of relief washing over me. "We're not going to leave you behind, KL. We're in this together." Together, we escaped the building, making our way back to the safety of Elgaroth. The Kyrexi were closing in, but we had Kale, and we had a plan. As we caught our breath, Kale's eyes locked on mine. "Therese more, Alex. More to my past, to my connection to the Kyrexi. I can tell you now." I leaned in, my heart pounding in my chest. "Tell me." Kale's expression turned grim. "I'm not who you think I am, Alex. I'm not just an ally. I'm your brother." My world came crashing down around me. Brother? I couldn't process the revelation. But before I could ask questions, the sound of engines grew louder, and the darkness lit up with the approach of more Kyrexi enforcers. It seemed our actions had just drawn even more enemies to our doorstep. The question was, would we be able to overcome them and uncover the truth about Kale's past? The journey had just become even more complicated. But I was ready. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, to uncover the truth, and to forge a new path for Aethereia. The stakes were high, but I was determined to succeed. Previously, the figure who claimed Kale was alive had just revealed that the Kyrexi had taken him, and we had to act fast to save him. With this new information, our quest to unite with the visionary engineers had just become even more urgent and perilous. As the Kyrexi enforcers closed in, we knew we had to get Kale to safety and come up with a plan to take down our enemies. The revelation that Kale might be alive had sent a jolt of hope through me, and I was determined to rescue him and uncover the truth. But as we stood there, the sound of engines growing louder, I knew we had to move quickly. Kale's alive, I repeated, still trying to process the information. We need to get him to safety, now. Lyrien and Elara nodded, their faces set with determination. We quickly scanned our surroundings, looking for a safe place to hide. Lyra, the engineer, pointed to a nearby alleyway. "Follow me," she said, leading us into the narrow passage. As we moved through the alley, the sounds of the Cyrexi enforcers grew fainter, replaced by the hum of machinery and the murmur of voices. We finally reached a small, makeshift hideout where Lyra's team had set up a temporary medical bay. The team's lead engineer, a grizzled old man named Aaron, examined Kale, who was still weak from his ordeal. "He's been badly injured," Aaron said, his voice grim, "but I think we can save him." As Aaron worked to stabilize Kale, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over me. Kale was alive, and we had a chance to rescue him. But I knew that our actions had just drawn even more enemies to our doorstep. Suddenly, Lyrien's voice cut through my thoughts. "Alex, we need to talk." His eyes locked on mine, and I could see a sense of urgency there. "What is it?" I asked, my mind racing with possibilities. "I've been analyzing the Cyrexi's communication signals," Lyrien said, his voice low. "I think I know how they're tracking us." Elara's eyes narrowed. "How?" Lyrien hesitated, his eyes darting around the room. "I think it's through you, Alex. You're the key to their tracking system." My heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" Lyrien's expression turned grim. "I think you're somehow connected to the Aethereia network, Alex. The Cyrexi must have discovered a way to track your movements through the network." I felt a chill run down my spine. If Lyrien was right, then I was the reason the Cyrexi were always one step ahead of us. I had to find a way to sever that connection, to protect my friends and allies. As I pondered our next move, Kale stirred, his eyes fluttering open. "Alex," he whispered, his voice weak. I rushed to his side, taking his hand. "Kale, it's me. We're here to help you." Kale's gaze locked on mine, and I could see a sense of determination there. "I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sorry I didn't tell you the truth sooner." I squeezed his hand. "What truth, Kale? What do you mean?" Kale's eyes seemed to bore into mine. "I'm your brother, Alex, and I have a lot to explain." The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. "Kale, my brother?" I couldn't process it. But before I could ask questions, the sound of engines grew louder and the hideout shook with the approach of more Cyrexi enforcers. It seemed our actions had just drawn even more enemies to our doorstep. The question was, would we be able to overcome them and uncover the truth about Kale's past? As the Cyrexi enforcers closed in, I knew we had to act fast. We quickly came up with a plan to defend the hideout, using Lyra's team's expertise to create a makeshift barricade. The battle was intense, with blaster fire and explosions rocking the hideout. But we held our ground, using every trick in the book to fend off the Cyrexi. When the dust settled, we had emerged victorious, but not without sustaining significant damage to the hideout. As we caught our breath, Kale's words echoed in my mind. He was my brother. The revelation raised more questions than answers. What did it mean for our quest? For Aethereia's future? As I looked at Kale, I knew that I had to know more. "Tell me everything, Kale," I said, my voice firm. "What's going on? Why did the Cyrexi take you?" Kale took a deep breath, his eyes clouding over with memories. "It starts with our parents, Alex. They were scientists working on a top-secret project. They discovered something big, something that could change the course of Aetherian history." I leaned in, my heart pounding in my chest. "What did they discover?" Kale's gaze locked on mine. "They discovered that Aethereia is not a natural planet. It's a construct created by an ancient civilization, and we're the product of that civilization." My world came crashing down around me. Aethereia, a construct? I couldn't process it. But before I could ask questions, a loud explosion rocked the hideout, and the sound of blaster fire filled the air. The Cyrexi had found us again. This time, we were ready. With Kale by my side and Lyrien and Elara at my back, I knew we could face whatever challenges lay ahead. We would fight to uncover the truth, to protect Aethereia, and to forge a new path for our future. The battle ahead would be tough, but I was ready. I was ready to face my destiny, to uncover the secrets of Aethereia, and to become the leader I was meant to be. As we prepared to face the Cyrexi once more, I felt a sense of hope rising within me. We were in this together, and we would do whatever it took to succeed. The journey ahead would be treacherous, but I was no longer alone. I had Kale, Lyrien, Elara, and Lyra's team by my side. Together, we would overcome any obstacle and forge a brighter future for Aethereia. The Cyrexi enforcers charged, their blasters firing wildly, but we were ready. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for the battle ahead. We would fight, we would win, and we would uncover the truth about Aethereia. The fate of our world depended on it. As the battle raged on, I felt a sense of determination growing within me. We would not back down. We would not give up. We would rise to the challenge, and we would emerge victorious. The hours ticked by, each one feeling like an eternity. But finally, we had emerged victorious, the Cyrexi enforcers defeated. As we caught our breath, Kale's eyes locked on mine. For everything, I smiled, a sense of forgiveness washing over me. You're my brother, Kale. We have a lot to talk about. But for now, let's just focus on getting out of here and finding a way to stop the Cyrexi once and for all. Kale nodded, a sense of determination on his face. In with you, Alex. Brother or not, we're in this together. The bond between us was forged in that moment, a bond that would last a lifetime. As we walked away from the hideout, I knew that our journey was far from over. But I was ready. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, to uncover the truth, and to forge a new path for Aethereia. The journey ahead would be treacherous, but I was no longer alone. I had Kale, Lyrien, Elara, and Lyra's team by my side. Together, we would overcome any obstacle and forge a brighter future for Aethereia. The sun was setting on the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape. I felt a sense of hope rising within me, a sense of possibility. We would make it through this together. And as we walked off into the unknown, I knew that our bond would be the key to unlocking Aethereia's secrets and forging a new path for our future. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but I was ready. I was ready to face my destiny, to uncover the secrets of Aethereia, and to become the leader I was meant to be. The fate of our world depended on it. But I was no longer alone. I had my friends, my allies, and my brother by my side. Together, we would rise to the challenge, and we would emerge victorious. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: we would face it together. With the Cyrexi on our tail, we left Elgaroth and journeyed to safe haven called Elian's Refuge. With Elian and Amy by our side, we plan our next move. Elian briefed us on Aethereia's history and its effect on Cyrexi. The Aetherians who lived on Aethereia before were far more advanced than any other being, and their technology far surpasses anything ever known in the Aetherian realm, or any other for that matter. Their knowledge on interdimensional travel allows Cyrexi to move through Aethereia to anywhere within Aethereia and other realms. But journeying through Aethereia, I have much more questions. Kale and I, being brothers, now sets my mind on fire with queries. Are there more siblings? What were our parents working on? The Cyrexi wants total domination on Aethereia. So, Aethereia and Cyrexi history is interwoven. We now realize we cannot let Cyrexi continue their conquest on Aethereia. I rally my friends to prepare for another battle. The stakes are high. We now know what is on the line. Aethereia's very existence hangs in the balance. The battle is on. The enemy will stop at nothing to get Aethereia. We hold out no matter what the Cyrexi does. As Elian briefed us, I felt a sense of hope. There was still much to learn, but I knew I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The journey ahead would be treacherous, but I was no longer alone. The adventure has just begun. The fate of Aethereia hangs in the balance, but I am ready. I am ready to face my destiny. I am ready to uncover the secrets of Aethereia, and I am ready to become the leader I was meant to be. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: we will face it together. The journey begins now. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for what lay ahead. We would journey through Aethereia, gathering allies and resources. We would prepare for the final battle, and we would emerge victorious. The Corexi would not win. We would not let them. The battle ahead would be tough, but I was ready. I was ready to face my destiny. And I was ready to save Aethereia. Previously, KL had just revealed that he was my brother, and we were on the run from the Corexi, who had taken him. We had managed to evade their enforcers and were now on our way to Elian's refuge, a safe haven where we could plan our next move. But with the Corexi closing in, I knew we had to act fast to uncover the truth about Aethereia and our family's connection to it. As we entered Elian's refuge, a sense of relief washed over me. We were finally safe, surrounded by Elian's team of engineers and allies. Elian, a grizzled old man with a kind heart, greeted us warmly. "Welcome, Alex. I've heard a lot about you." I smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude towards him. "The feeling's mutual, Elian. Thank you for taking us in." Elian nodded, his eyes serious. "We don't have much time to waste. The Corexi will be back, and next time they won't be so easy to shake off. We need to get to work on a plan to take them down." Lyrien, Elara, and Kale nodded in agreement, their faces set with determination. Elian began to brief us on Aethereia's history and the role the Aetherians had played in shaping the realm. "The Aetherians were an advanced civilization," Elian said, his voice filled with awe. "Their technology was far beyond anything we've seen before. They had mastered interdimensional travel, and their knowledge has allowed the Corexi to move through Aethereia with ease." I listened intently, my mind racing with questions. Kale and I, being brothers, raised so many queries. Were there more siblings? What were our parents working on? Elian seemed to sense my curiosity. "We'll get to those questions, Alex. But first, we need to focus on the task at hand. The Corexi want total domination on Aethereia, and we can't let them succeed." Me," Elian's partner spoke up, her voice filled with conviction. "We've been gathering allies, Alex, people who share our vision of a free Aethereia. We'll need all the help we can get to take down the Corexi." As Elian and Amy briefed us on their plan, I felt a sense of hope rising within me. We were in this together, and we would do whatever it took to succeed. The stakes were high, but I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. But just as we were about to finalize our plan, a loud explosion rocked the refuge. The Corexi had found us again. "It's like they have a sixth sense for tracking us," Lyrien muttered, his eyes scanning the area. I gritted my teeth. "We need to get out of here now." We quickly scrambled to evacuate the refuge, using Elian's team's expertise to create a diversion. As we made our way through the winding tunnels, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were being herded towards some unknown fate. The journey ahead would be treacherous, but I was no longer alone. I had KL, Lyrien, Elara, Elian, Amy, and Lyra's team by my side. Together, we would overcome any obstacle and forge a brighter future for Aethereia. As we emerged from the tunnels, I caught sight of a massive structure in the distance. It was an ancient ruin, its architecture unlike anything I'd seen before. "What's that?" I asked Elian, my curiosity piqued. Elian's eyes locked on mine. "That's the entrance to the Aetherian archives. It's said to hold the secrets of Aethereia's past and the key to defeating the Corexi." My heart skipped a beat. We had to get to those archives. But as we approached the ruin, I could feel the air growing thick with an eerie energy. We were not alone. The Corexi were closing in. And I had a feeling that we were walking into a trap. But I was ready. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. I was ready to uncover the secrets of Aethereia, and I was ready to become the leader I was meant to be. The fate of our world depended on it. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for what lay ahead. We would journey into the heart of the ruin and uncover the truth about Aethereia. The journey begins now. As we ventured into the ruin, I couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the ancient architecture. The walls were covered in intricate carvings, depicting a civilization far more advanced than anything I'd ever seen. Lyrien briefed us on the history of the Aetherians and their achievements. But I was more interested in the present. What secrets lay hidden in these archives, and how could we use them to defeat the Chyrexi? Lyrien, ever the strategist, began to analyze the layout of the ruin, looking for any hidden dangers. Elara, meanwhile, used her skills to scan for any traps or hidden mechanisms. Kale and I walked together, our bond growing stronger with every step. We talked about our parents and the project they had been working on. We speculated about our family's connection to the Aetherians and the secrets they might have uncovered. As we explored the ruin, we stumbled upon a hidden chamber filled with ancient artifacts and texts. It was like walking into a treasure trove of knowledge, but we didn't have much time to explore. The Chyrexi were closing in, and we could hear the sound of their enforcers approaching. "It's time to get to work," I said, my voice firm. "We need to find the information we need and get out of here before it's too late." The team nodded, and we set to work, scouring the archives for any information that could help us defeat the Chyrexi. It was a daunting task, but I was ready. I was ready to uncover the secrets of Aethereia, and I was ready to save our world. The battle ahead would be tough, but I was no longer alone. I had my friends, my allies, and my brother by my side. Together, we would rise to the challenge, and we would emerge victorious. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: we would face it together. As we delved deeper into the archives, I stumbled upon a text that caught my eye. It was an ancient manuscript written in a language I couldn't understand, but as I touched the page, I felt a surge of energy run through me. The text began to glow, and I could understand the words. It was a message left by our parents, a message that would change everything. "Alex," the text read, "we knew that one day you would be the key to saving Aethereia. We have left you a legacy, a gift that will help you defeat the Chyrexi. But be warned, the journey ahead will be treacherous. You will face challenges that will test your courage, your wits, and your heart, but we have faith in you. You are the chosen one, the leader Aethereia needs." I felt a sense of hope rising within me. Our parents had left us a legacy, a gift that could help us defeat the Chyrexi. But as I looked at Kael, Lyrien, Elara, and the rest of the team, I knew that we were in this together. We would face the challenges ahead as a team, and we would emerge victorious. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but I was ready. I was ready to face my destiny. And I was ready to save Aethereia. Previously, we had just received a cryptic message that hinted at the existence of a long-lost sibling, and we were on our way to Elian's refuge, a safe haven where we could plan our next move to take down the Chyrexi. The refuge was attacked, and we narrowly escaped, making our way to the ancient Aetherian archives, a place where we hoped to uncover secrets that would give us an edge against our enemies. As we ventured into the ruin, we were met with an eerie energy, and I could feel the Chyrexi closing in. The air seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly power as we stepped deeper into the archives. I could feel the weight of history bearing down on me, and the thrill of discovery coursed through my veins. But I knew we couldn't afford to get distracted. The Chyrexi were getting closer, and we had to find what we were looking for before they caught up to us. "We need to move fast," I said, my voice low and urgent. "The Chyrexi could be here any minute." Elian nodded, his eyes scanning the area. "I know a way to get us deeper into the archives. Follow me." He led us through a narrow corridor, the walls lined with ancient carvings that seemed to pulse with a soft blue light. We walked in silence, the only sound the soft hum of the energy emanating from the walls. As we turned a corner, I caught sight of a massive stone door. It was covered in intricate carvings, and it looked like it hadn't been opened in centuries. "This is it," Elian said, his voice filled with excitement. "The Archive's central chamber. If we can find what we're looking for here, it could give us the edge we need to take down the Cyrexi." I nodded, my heart racing with anticipation. "Let's do this." Elian worked his magic on the door, and it creaked open, revealing a vast chamber filled with row upon row of ancient artifacts and texts. The room was dimly lit, but the soft glow of the carvings on the walls cast an eerie light over everything. As we entered the chamber, I felt a sense of awe wash over me. We were surrounded by the remnants of a civilization that had been far more advanced than anything I'd ever seen, but I knew we couldn't afford to get distracted. We had to find what we were looking for and get out of here before the Cyrexi caught up to us. Lyrien and Elara began to scan the room, looking for any signs of danger. Kale and I started to search through the shelves, looking for any information that could help us. As we worked, I stumbled upon an ancient text that caught my eye. It was bound in a strange, glowing material, and it seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. "Guys, I think I found something," I said, my voice filled with excitement. Elian walked over to me, his eyes scanning the text. "That's an Aetherian journal," he said, his voice filled with awe. "It's said to hold the secrets of their technology." I opened the journal and began to read. The text was written in an ancient language, but as I touched the page, I felt a surge of energy run through me. The words began to glow, and I could understand what they were saying. As I read on, I realized that the journal was more than just a historical text. It was a guide left by the Aetherians themselves. It held the secrets of their downfall and the key to defeating the Cyrexi. But as I read on, I realized that we weren't alone. The Cyrexi had found us, and they were closing in. "It's time to get out of here," I said, my voice firm. "We have what we need. Let's go." But as we turned to leave, I realized that Kale was no longer with us. I spun around, my heart racing with fear. "Kale?" I called out, my voice echoing off the walls. There was no answer. I felt a surge of panic run through me. We had to find Kale, and we had to find him now. "Lyrien, Elara, stay here and study the journal," I said, my voice firm. "Kale and I will go look for him." Elian nodded, his eyes serious. "Be careful. The Cyrexi could be anywhere." I nodded and set off with Kale to search for our missing brother. We moved quickly, our senses on high alert. As we searched the chamber, I realized that we were walking into a trap. The Cyrexi had set a trap for us, and we had fallen right into it. But I was ready. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and I was ready to save my brother. The fate of Aethereia depended on it. With a deep breath, I steeled myself for what lay ahead. We would find Kale, and we would get out of here, no matter what it took. As we turned a corner, I caught sight of Kale. He was being held by a group of Cyrexi enforcers, their eyes cold and calculating. I gritted my teeth. We had to act fast. "Kale, hold on," I said, my voice filled with determination. "We're coming for you." The enforcers turned to face us, their eyes locked on mine. I could feel the energy building up inside me, ready to be unleashed. It was time to take a stand. It was time to fight for what was mine, and it was time to save my brother. With a fierce cry, I launched myself at the enforcers, my fists flying. The battle was intense, the two of us working together like a well-oiled machine. But just as we thought we had the upper hand, a figure emerged from the shadows. He was tall and imposing, his eyes cold and calculating. "You're quite the fighter, Alex," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "but you'll never leave this place alive." I gritted my teeth. We had to get out of here, and fast. But as I looked at the figure, I realized that he was more than just a Cyrexi enforcer. He was someone I knew, someone who had been thought to be long dead. My mind reeled as I stared at the figure, my heart racing with shock. It was my father, or at least I thought it was. But as I looked deeper into his eyes, I realized that something was off. This wasn't my father, not really. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice firm. The figure smiled, his eyes glinting with amusement. "I'm someone who knows your family," he said, "and I'm here to help you." I narrowed my eyes. I didn't trust him, but I had to. For Kale's sake, for Aethereia's sake, I took a deep breath and steeled myself for what lay ahead. We would get out of here, and we would uncover the truth, no matter what it took. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but I was ready. I was ready to face my destiny. And I was ready to save Aethereia. As we stood there, frozen in uncertainty, I felt a sense of hope rising within me. We had faced so much already, and we had come out on top. We could do it again. With a newfound sense of determination, I turned to my team. "Let's do this," I said, my voice firm. "We have a long way to go, but we're in this together." And with that, we set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The fate of Aethereia depended on it. But I was no longer alone. I had my friends, my allies, and my brother by my side. Together, we would rise to the challenge and we would emerge victorious. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: we would face it together, and we would forge a brighter future for Aethereia, no matter what it took. Previously, my father, or at least someone who claimed to know him, had revealed himself in the ancient Aetherian archives, leaving me reeling with shock and uncertainty. The figure who said he was there to help us had appeared just as we were trying to rescue Kale from the Chyrexi enforcers. With my team by my side, I had to make a difficult decision: trust this mysterious ally or risk everything to escape. As I stood there, frozen in uncertainty, I felt the weight of responsibility bearing down on me. The fate of Aethereia, my friends, and my brother hung in the balance. I took a deep breath and made my decision. I would trust him for now. "Okay, well listen," I said, my voice firm, "but if you're trying to trick us, you'll regret it." The figure nodded, a hint of a smile on his face. "I'm not here to harm you, Alex. My name is Aaron. I've been watching your family for a long time. I know your father, and I know what's at stake." I narrowed my eyes. "What do you mean?" Aaron hesitated, as if choosing his words carefully. "Your father, Elijah, was a key player in the Aetherian resistance against the Chyrexi. He was a brilliant engineer and strategist, but he was also complicated. He had his own motivations, his own agenda." I felt a surge of curiosity. "What agenda?" Aaron leaned in, his voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. "Elijah was working on a top-secret project, codenamed Elysium. He believed that Elysium held the key to defeating the Chyrexi once and for all, but he was also aware of the risks. He knew that if the Chyrexi got their hands on it, it would be catastrophic." I exchanged a glance with Lyrien and Elara. We had heard rumors of Elysium, but we had never thought it was real. "What happened to it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Aaron sighed. "Elijah went into hiding after the project was abandoned. He left behind a cryptic map leading to a hidden server room deep within the archives. If we can find it, we might be able to uncover the secrets of Elysium." I felt a spark of determination ignite within me. "We had to find that server room. We need to move," I said, my voice firm. "The Chyrexi won't give up easily." Aaron nodded. "I know a way to get us there. Follow me." We set off, navigating through the winding corridors of the archives. The air was thick with tension, and I could feel the Chyrexi closing in. As we walked, I couldn't shake off the feeling that Aaron was hiding something from us, but I pushed the thought aside. We had to focus on the task at hand. After what felt like hours of navigating through the ancient ruins, we finally reached the server room. It was a small, heavily reinforced chamber deep within the heart of the archives. Aaron worked his magic on the door, and it creaked open, revealing a bank of ancient computers and a single, flickering console. "This is it," Aaron said, his eyes shining with excitement. "The Elysium project. If we can access this data, we might be able to turn the tide against the Chyrexi." I nodded, my heart racing with anticipation. We had to do this. But as we began to work on the console, I realized that we weren't alone. The Corexi had found us, and they were closing in. "We have to move fast," I said, my voice urgent. "The Corexi are almost here." Lyrien and Elara worked quickly, their fingers flying across the keyboard. KL stood guard, his eyes scanning the room for any signs of danger. And Aaron? Aaron seemed to be working on his own agenda. I caught him glancing at the console, a look of unease on his face. "What's going on, Aaron?" I asked, my voice low. He hesitated, his eyes darting towards the console. I think I might have made a mistake. This data, it's not what I expected." I felt a surge of alarm. "What do you mean?" Aaron's eyes locked on mine, a look of determination in them. "I mean that Elysium might not be what we think it is. It might be more than just a technology. It might be a doorway to something much bigger." I exchanged a glance with Lyrien and Elara. We had to be careful. We didn't know what we were dealing with. But I knew one thing for sure. We had to see this through. For Aethereia's sake, and for the sake of my friends. "Let's do this," I said, my voice firm. "We'll face whatever comes next, together." The console beeped, and the room fell silent. We had accessed the Elysium data, and what we found was beyond anything I could have imagined. The data streamed across the screen, revealing a complex web of technologies and alliances that threatened to upend everything I thought I knew about Aethereia. I felt a sense of wonder and trepidation as I realized the true scope of the Elysium project. As we pored over the data, I began to see the bigger picture. Elysium was not just a technology, it was a key to unlocking the secrets of Aethereia's past and future. And with it, we might be able to forge a new path, one that would bring hope to a world on the brink of collapse. But as we stood there, awestruck by the revelation, I knew that our journey was far from over. We had uncovered a new truth, but we had also attracted unwanted attention. The Corexi would stop at nothing to claim Elysium for themselves, and we had to be ready. With a newfound sense of purpose, I turned to my team. "We have a lot to discuss, and not a lot of time to waste. Let's get to work." Together, we began to analyze the data, searching for any weaknesses or opportunities. The room was filled with the hum of computers and the murmur of conversation as we worked tirelessly to unravel the secrets of Elysium. As the hours passed, I felt a sense of hope rising within me. We were in this together, and we would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united and determined. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but I was no longer alone. I had my friends, my allies, and a newfound understanding of the stakes. And with that, we set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with the knowledge of Elysium and our unbreakable bonds. The fate of Aethereia depended on it. As we worked through the night, I caught glimpses of a brighter future, a future where Aethereia was free from the Corexis tyranny, where our people could live in peace and prosperity. It was a distant dream, but it was within reach. And with Elysium's secrets guiding us, I knew that we could make it a reality. The console beeped again, and the room fell silent. We had found what we were looking for. But as we turned to leave, I realized that our journey was just beginning. The Corexi would not give up easily, and we had to be prepared to face them head-on. I steeled myself for what lay ahead, knowing that the road to a brighter future would be fraught with danger. But I was no longer alone. I had my friends, my allies, and a newfound sense of purpose. Together, we would face whatever challenges lay ahead, and we would emerge victorious. The fate of Aethereia depended on it,